Over 53 starters getting lined up, heating up their tires, trying to get ready for a start to the world's richest dirt track race. I'm Steve Evans with Brock Yates and Ed Bruce. A little earlier, Brock and I had a chance to take a look at one of the better modified cars you'll find in this field. You know, Brock, I take a look at the number 20 modified car, Brett Hearn here, and I wouldn't mind going for a ride in one of these. I mean, you got Nerf bars on both sides, big bumpers fore and aft. You got a super roll cage on a 2x4 square tubing frame. I mean, these things are kind of bulletproof.
Oh, they're real bulletproof. You know, they'll run them 4 or 5 times a week. So they got a big block Chevy in here, 467 inches, 4-barrel carburetor, about 700 horsepower, but really, really reliable.
You know, when we first saw these cars a number of years ago, they looked like an old American Motors Gremlin. In fact, they were.
That's right. Now they've really gotten the bodies down, very tightly regulated in terms of height and width. But inside there is really basically a sprint car frame.
You know, and Brett and the guys have been paying some attention to aerodynamics. Maybe one of the reasons they're a good deal quicker even than they were a year ago when we saw them.
How about those tires? You know, they really regulated those, too.
Well, that keeps it a driver's series, I think. You can't run a tire any wider than 13 inches, any more than 92 inches around. Yeah. So everyone's essentially on the same tire. You got a NASCAR-style fuel cell, so fire's not going to be a problem. What do you think? We could buy one of these for 40 grand.
How about a new Mercedes?
You got a deal.
Okay.
A dirt Mercedes. Well, that'd be a good class, wouldn't it?
I don't see any out here right now, Steve, as they come down through turn 3. Notice again how narrow that place is. I think they're going to get a green.
They are indeed, and all eyes are on the front runners. Barefoot Bob McCready and Sammy Swindell. Swindell, in many ways, is an alien to these fans. They like Barefoot Bob, Brock.
So far, clean start, Steve. There is Glenn Fitzgerald. He's slipped past Jack Johnson into the 6th spot. Don't forget, Glenn is the quickest guy in a place in qualifying.
And amazingly enough, for the 2nd year in a row, 53 cars have snaked their way through that narrow turn number 2. No contact made. That says a lot for the overall quality of these drivers, Brock.
Very cautious right now in the opening stages of this race. Don't forget, $50,000 up for the winner, so everybody's going to try to keep their equipment together. Not too aggressive right now. Amazingly, though, all those guys managed to get down that back straightaway without a caution, somebody getting into the fence. That's happened before on the starts here in Syracuse. It's been pretty hairy, but right now the track is green, and Barefoot Bob McCready is moving up on Sammy Swindell, Steve.
Barefoot Bob is right on the rear Nerf bar of number 11, Sammy Swindell. Swindell, 2-time World of Outlaws Sprint Car champion, out in front of the richest dirt track race in the world. Imagine he would win more here today than he's ever won in a sprint car, Brock.
Could be interesting to see a newcomer come in here. It's never been done before. This is a very close little fraternity here in the Northeastern United States, and you can be sure that there'd be a bunch of sore guys if Sammy took all that money back to Tennessee with him.
Well, the big equalizer here is the Moody Mile itself. At this distance, a Swindell can run with any of these drivers. They're all used to coming off the short tracks. This gives them that common denominator.
Notice that Sammy is tucking that car right up in against the inside fence using a very low line as he comes down the long straightaway, as we said, maybe touching 150 miles an hour before he lets off the throttle and just slides that modified through turn number 1.
And here's the beautiful orange car, number 58 of Mike McLaughlin. He's in the 3rd spot, but coming up on him fast is New Jersey's Jimmy Horton car, number 85.
Down the back straightaway they go. Here comes your leader, Sammy Swindell. Looks like he's moved out a little bit on Barefoot Bob McCready, maybe about 4 car lengths as they come off the 4th turn and head down the main straightaway. So Sammy right now, Steve Evans, seems to be maintaining a pretty comfortable lead.
Well, Sammy's out there cruising right now, Brock, but it's going to get interesting in a couple of laps because they're going to get into traffic. And we have seen in the past how well Swindell can handle traffic in a sprinter. Can he do the same thing in a not quite so familiar modified car?
Steve, remember that number 20? That's the one you wanted to buy and go racing in. Right now, Brett Hearn, one of the real young stars in this business, is in the cockpit out of Kinnelon, New Jersey. Brett really had a bad qualifying time. The car just didn't get hooked up. Started way back in 31st spot, but told me just before he got into the car that he felt they had the chassis sorted out and to watch him. Well, right now he's moved up about 6 spots and maybe up among the leaders before the day's out. Who's to know?
Sammy Swindell in the lead, getting some pressure now from Bob McCready. McCready has moved up steadily and is right now coming down that front straightaway. Maybe going to make a move on Swindell. Let's see. Bearded, barefoot, Bob McCready.
Well, Bob's got that odd grill we talked about on his car, and I don't know whether it's helping right now or not, but he got a little bit wobbly there coming off of turn 2, notice, and fell back a little bit. So Sammy right now appears to be able to hold off McCready, but McCready has a lot of confidence, an awful lot of experience here at Syracuse, and could very well be a factor. Don't forget, too, that this racetrack is going to start to break up, especially in the groove in turn 1 and turn 3. That's a standard practice of this old racetrack, and that can get bumpy, and that can cause some problems.
And how about Brett Hearn, Brock? You were talking about him earlier, car number 20. Well, he's now moved up to the 21st position.
Oh, he is on a roll right now, Steve. Here he comes in that yellow 20 on the outside of turn 1. There, just hooks it back into line. Good job, Brett Hearn. We'll see more of him today, I'm sure.
And a huge roar from the grandstands is down the front straightaway. Barefoot Bob McCready alongside Swindell, now in front of him. That is McCready taking the lead from Sammy Swindell going into turn number 2 now.
A very decisive pass, got down underneath him and into turn 1. And look at this, McCready has moved way out now. Sammy either is slowing down, Steve, or else is just backing it off and letting somebody else lead for a while. But right now, McLaughlin and Jimmy Horton are moving in to challenge him as well.
McLaughlin in that bright orange Jack Johnson-built automobile, and he's getting a lot of pressure from the car just behind him, number 85, Jimmy Horton. Horton getting sideways, trying to take that third spot away from Mike McLaughlin. The car just in front of McLaughlin, well, that is Swindell, who has lost a lot of ground to Barefoot Bob McCready.
There you can see Horton in the blue and white car try to squeeze underneath McLaughlin coming off at turn 2. Can't make it stick. Mike holds on to third down that narrow back straightaway. In the front, though, Sammy Swindell trailing Barefoot Bob McCready. And look at this. There goes Horton. You can see him lifting that inside left front wheel because he cranks that car through turn 4.
And it's going to get even busier because just ahead of Sammy Swindell, car number 11, is number 33, Jack Cottrell. That would be the first traffic car that Swindell has encountered. The first car he will try to put a lap down.
Well, Steve, so far it's been a super clean race. Usually we have a yellow here pretty early in the going in Syracuse, but right now, no problems at all as Sammy tries to get underneath Cottrell, and right on his tail is McLaughlin and Horton.
Swindell comes up and bumps the back of Cottrell. Now McLaughlin bumps Swindell. McLaughlin is forced high. Swindell gets sideways, and look at this. The ultimate winner in all of that action was Jimmy Horton, who has now gone into the second spot in number 85.
And is moving out, Steve. He's got a big opening. Look at this. Sammy Swindell got real wide going into turn number 1. I wonder if he's got some problems.
Well, Brock, I wouldn't be surprised if it was contact 4.5 on Swindell's car. Swindell has got tire problems. Swindell has shredded a tire and is falling back rapidly. It's all he can do to just keep the car going straight ahead.
Right, Steve. And Bob Fisher, who started way back in the pack, is smoking badly. Those two cars, this one, that's Sammy Swindell and Fisher's, have brought out the caution here at Syracuse as we see Swindell just struggle into the pits with that tire just torn to shreds. That is going to take him out of contention for a while. But, of course, we got a long way to go at Syracuse and a whole bunch of pit stops coming up by the leaders. So this may or may not be a disaster for Sammy. The question is, though, Steve, can he go the distance on a full tank of fuel after having stopped this early?
Well, Brock, when he gets out there, he's going to have to run so hard to make up for this time lost in the pits. I don't think so. I think Swindell will have to stop at least one more time. Right now, Sammy just wishing he could get back out onto the racetrack. We're under caution here at Syracuse. Stick with us. The green flag should be coming up. The pole winner, Sammy Swindell, number 11. He got a fresh right rear tire, went out on the track under caution, didn't like it, and is back in the pits again. And Brock Yates, they've finally got him moving, but boy, he's lost a lot of positions.
He sure has. That's a tough break for Sammy. Also, we've lost some other competitors. Scott Tobias, the number 17 car, is out, and this man, Bobby Ellison, is going to park it. As you can see there, he started way at the back, the second to the last man in this field. The car has not behaved well all week during qualifying and practice, and Bobby just had to park it. That was the end of it. A tough break. Meanwhile, Steve has made his way to the Sammy Swindell pit.
I'm with Billy Taylor, the crew chief of car number 11. First of all, Sammy shredded a tire, right?
Right. He got hit in the left rear by Jimmy Horton and cut the tire down.
Then when he left the pits, it sounded like he couldn't find low gear.
What it was is if they ride the clutch between a sprint car driver and a dirt driver, they take the clutches out.
Yeah, and then when he left it the second time, it sounded like the clutch may have really suffered some damage.
Yeah, it's gone. What we're going to do is, on restarts, we're going to have to shut it off and push him off. That's all. It's direct drive like a button in a Subaru. Same thing.
Thank you, Billy.
Okay, thank you.
So Sammy Swindell faces a little extra challenge here at Syracuse, but he's not the only man. This is car number 58, Mike McLaughlin. Remember, he was in that tangle with Sammy and Jimmy Horton, and he has suspension problems. Steve, he started in the 3rd spot here at Syracuse and had high hopes.
Well, this is his second trip into the pit area, Brock, to try to get the right front sorted out. And you're right, he did suffer some damage in that little tangle with Sammy Swindell. And with the yellow flag still out, let's check in with our buddy Ed Bruce. Ed?
We're in the control tower at the New York State Fairgrounds, the Moody Mile, and I'm standing here with Glenn Donnelly, who's the president of DIRT. First, real quick, Glenn, what does DIRT stand for?
Drivers Independent Racetracks.
Okay. Now, walking around the track here today, we see a lot of license tags from New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, whatever. Seems to be a lot of regional support, even neighborhood support for the drivers. How do you explain this support like this?
Well, a lot of our tracks are situated all over the Northeast here, and the modifieds that you see running here today are cars that are made up of, Northeast modifieds. It's about 42 racetracks, and all these different tracks are situated, again, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Northeast here, and they all want to see their hometown boys do well.
So these same fans will follow their favorite drivers around from track to track?
Oh, yeah, they follow them. It's been a real ongoing thing, and, of course, this is like our World Series. It culminates the whole summer of our activities.
Well, this is the ultimate dirt track race. Hey, thanks for talking to us, and we got a good day for racing. Let's go back to some more of it.
Okay.
Thanks, Ed. They're still under caution here at Syracuse as we watch Bob McCready lead it, but interesting, Jack Johnson in that 12A, that orange car that we saw win here last year, Steve, has moved into 2nd spot.
But the guy who's been the most fun to watch, Brett Hearn. Look at that. Car number 20 has moved up from 31st to 10th. And Brock, as they idle down into turn number 4, they are getting on the gas. Coming out of 3 into 4, we are green flag again.
Here they come. Barefoot Bob McCready in that white and yellow car holds the lead up from Jack Johnson as they head down into turn number 1, Steve.
Johnson tries to go down low, finds no room there, just falls back in line with Bob McCready. The smart thing to do, going to turn number 2 and headed out onto the backstretch. Barefoot Bob McCready stretching it out a little bit.
Right you are, coming at you down the narrow back straightaway. McCready right behind him. Johnson and Jimmy Horton riding in the 3rd spot. He's been up among the leaders all day long.
Well, a big advantage for Bob McCready all season long, they tell me up here, Brock. His car has handled better than anybody else's. Maybe he hasn't had the horsepower, and maybe it's that bodywork that contributes to it. But he's right now leading it.
And so far, a good, clean restart. We've had some good racing so far. Not a lot of trouble. There goes Brett Hearn trying to get by Colville, picking up another spot if possible. But look at that. He's nudged to the outside and falls back. Brett Hearn in the number 20 car. He bumped against C.D. Colville in the 9th spot and falls back, and Jeff Hessler in that J17 moves up to take 10th place. So that little gamble pushes Hearn back to 11th spot. But Steve, number 12, the white number 12 of Carl Collis is on the move. He's in 12th spot, and remember, he started in 35th place.
And here goes Brett Hearn, passing the black car of Jeff Hostville. Yes, as they go down to turn number 1, Brett Hearn retakes 10th position.
So, Steve, now we've got Hearn and Collis beginning to breathe on the leaders. They come from way back in the pack. Oh,
problem in turn 2, Brock. Problem in turn number 2. There is just a mammoth pileup, and for sure this is going to bring out the yellow, if not the red. Nope, just the yellow flag coming out. We got one upside down. That would appear to be number 64, Ken Johnson, and he's crawling out. He's okay.
Well, we said that's the trouble spot on this racetrack. Turn number 2, a big jam up. He's okay, Ken Johnson, but the yellow's out.
The crew of number 58, Mike McLaughlin, talking to him on the radio, and apparently Brock Yates, Mike McLaughlin is going to stay out there because we may not be that far away from the green flag. He could get caught in here.
Well, he's still got suspension problems. They're concerned about that car. Remember, Mike was in that tangle with Sammy Swindell earlier in the go, and that has really taken him out of contention. Started up in third spot and just has fallen back because of that chassis problem.
Well, this is the final lap under caution. They've displayed the white flag, which means the green flag will come out. And in modified dirt cars, they usually start racing about turn number 3. That'll wait till the start-finish line. Bob McCready will be leading it. Jack Johnson just behind him. Jimmy Horton, who's driven a strong, consistent race. Glenn Fitzgerald has not moved up like he would have liked to. Brad Hearn is still holding on to 10, a big improvement over a 31st starting position.
Well, Steve, don't forget, Glenn Fitzgerald was the quickest qualifier in this field, broke the track record. He's up among the leaders, and he may be just kind of biding his time back there, waiting for this traffic to clear a little bit. And speaking of traffic, we're going to have a jam up. That's turn 3. They're on the throttle. They're heading for the green flag and a restart.
And again, it's Bob McCready, the yellow and white car. That is number 9, just ahead of Jack Johnson. Johnson moves to the outside. Let's know, Johnson cannot make it work going to the turn number 1, and he tucks in wisely so.
Well, that's really a one-groove corner. As you can see, a couple of guys try it hard, but it won't work. They've got to tuck down against the fence and just sail through their single file as they basically do down this very narrow back straightaway. So it's McCready, Johnson, and Jimmy Horton in that blue and white car in third place. And Steve, he started 5th and has been among the leaders all day long. He could be a factor.
Oh, absolutely. Jimmy Horton, tremendous experience here at Syracuse. And as you said before, he may just kind of be in the catbird seat there waiting for an opportunity.
Yeah, he and Glenn Fitzgerald's right behind him. And there is Brett Hearn, still charging, still pushing his way through the leaders.
Now, Hearn has moved up to 9th. Just in front of him is C.D. Colville in the 8th spot, and Hearn wants him.
He sure does. Down the back straightaway. Not much chance to get by there. Tries the inside line. Yes, he makes it stick on a very difficult part of this racetrack. He gets by C.D. Colville going into turn 3.
So Brett Hearn is now in the 8th position. To get 7th, he'll have to get around number 115, Kenny Tremont.
So slowly picking his way through this field. He obviously is the quickest guy on the racetrack right now, but don't forget, right behind him is Carl Collis, who's also moving up. So we've got Collis in 12, Brett Hearn in that yellow number 20, kind of the factors in this event. Everybody's watching them.
Well, Brock, a lot of smoke on the back straightaway. I believe we have got a blown engine. Yes, smoking badly coming by us is number 1, Joe Plazek. And that is one big block Chevrolet that is not going to live to race any longer today. You can see the oil going down. And on this kind of the racetrack, there's really no dirt to absorb that oil. The yellow flag comes out.
Right, Steve. The Syracuse Mile is so hard-packed that it is really like asphalt more than dirt. And, of course, Plazek's motor blew right in turn number 2, and we know how dangerous that is. Probably the most difficult part of this racetrack, and the last thing these guys need is a patch of oil to run through. So Joe Plazek coasts into the pits with a very expensive motor job facing him and his crew. He's finished for the day.
Well, the field forming up, of course, on the point is Bob McCready. But I'll tell you who deserves a mention, number 82, Rick Jeffrey. He started 10th. He's moved up to 4th. A good, solid drive. Not spectacular, but getting the job done. And, of course, Brett Hearn, number 20, he's up to 8th from 31st. Maybe the biggest story of the day so far.
Right, Steve, and the green is out. They're on the gas as they sweep off turn number 4 here at Syracuse. McCready leads it. Right behind him, Jack Johnson trying to get by. The same 3 cars, McCready, Johnson, and Horton, have held on all afternoon among the leaders.
And every time they head down into turn number 1, Johnson goes high, takes a peek, tucks back in. These cars are so evenly matched. When the fans come to Syracuse, they know there's no such thing as a runaway here. How about Kenny Tremont, Rock? He has moved all the way up into 5th, car number 115.
He has been on the move, and of course that number 20 car is Brett Hearn. He's sitting back there in 7th place, about to challenge Billy Pouch for 6th.
And what wins this kind of race, Brock, is obviously the talent of the driver we talked about, but also the crew, the right tire, the right suspension setting.
Well, absolutely, Steve. They very strictly govern the bodywork rules here. Gary Ballou came in here at Syracuse about 4 years ago with a radical ground effects car and just blew everybody away. Since then, Glenn Donnelly and the dirt sanctioning body said no more tricks. These cars are almost identical in terms of their bodywork. Some aerodynamics on them, but for the most part, it's pure horsepower, driving skill, and tires that makes the difference.
And Brett Hearn, car number 20, trying to mow another one down, trying to take the 6th position. He is going to do it. He gets around Billy Pouch, car number 5. Pouch slides high, saying, where did this guy come from?
Wow, what a surprise that he just blew past Billy Pouch. Is a very, very hard competitor and doesn't give way all that easily, but Brett Hearn just kind of elbowed his way underneath him, and now he moves in on Kenny Tremont in that white and blue number 115 car. So Brett Hearn, you can be sure every stopwatch along pit row in the hands of the crew chiefs is on this man in that yellow number 20. He is the man of the hour right now, just sawing his way through this field.
But the farther up he moves, the tougher they get to pass, such as Kenny Tremont here from West Sand Lake, New York, in a car owned by his father. Kenny has moved up from 14th all the way to 5th, so not too bad either.
It sure isn't. As we watch Kenny Tremont pull out a little bit on Hearn. Notice Hearn just tucks that race car right up against the fence as he gets into turn number 3. Sweeps wide off of turn 4 and uses that big, long front straightaway to build up a lot of speed, because that is the only good place to pass here.
Well, Kenny Tremont may have halted the progress of Brett. We got big problems in turn 4. That is the car against the wall of John Birosh. Sammy Swindell has hit him, car number 11, who led this race earlier on. And oh! Buzzy Rudiman has just rammed the parked car of Sammy Swindell. An awful collision in turn 4.
Well, Sammy Swindell was just sitting there parked, and the veteran Buzzy Rudiman came off turn 4, building up speed. We're going to have a yellow here. We've got a bad crash. The racetrack is almost fully blocked. Sammy Swindell climbing out of his race car. Birosh and Rudiman still inside their cars. Let's take another look at what happened here. Coming off turn 4, we see Birosh sliding toward the outside wall. There is Sammy Swindell, who follows him up against the fence, squeezes him in there, bounces off Birosh's car, and comes to a halt. A whole bunch of other cars seem to get by in pretty good shape, and then Buzzy Rudiman, Steve Evans, comes wide off turn 4 and tags the stop car of Sammy Swindell. An awful shot. I'd say he probably hit him at almost 100 miles an hour.
And I'm sure that came as a complete surprise to Sammy Swindell. I would guess that Swindell was just about ready to unbuckle, Brock. Obviously, he didn't, or he wouldn't have walked away from that car.
Well, it was a fortunate thing for Sammy, and also a testimony to the fuel cells and the safety of these automobiles. No fire. Here is Jack Johnson sliding in for a stop. He is the defending champion here at Syracuse, currently riding in second place, taking advantage of what's going to be an extended yellow flag to change tires and add fuel.
And these are scheduled stops. They hope to only make one. In fact, you're not going to win the Schaefer 200 if you make more than one pit stop. Taking on inside rubber is Jack Johnson. Fuel, of course. Now, it gets a little wild down in these pit areas, Brock, because these guys aren't all that used to doing this. Here is car number 20, Brett Hearn, who lost this race in the pits. You remember a year ago when a jack got hung underneath the car?
Steve, I'm sure his crew is very, very much aware of that as they deliberately go about making this crucial pit stop here. Fresh tires going on the rear, 22 gallons of fuel going on board as Brett Hearn takes a little bit of a drink from, while without removing his helmet. That's kind of a trick here as we watch the fuel can go over the pit wall. Soon the car will come down off that single hand jack, and Brett Hearn pushed off and underway. So far, no problems. Good pit stop for Brett Hearn.
So Brett Hearn heads back out onto the track. I'm a little surprised, Brock, that Bob McCready has not used this yellow to pit.
No, he still continues to circulate out there in the lead. You would think maybe this would be an opportunity to make the stop. As we watch Jimmy Horton, currently in third place, come in. A crewman checks the chassis settings, makes sure everything is still buttoned up tight. And it looks, Steve, as if they're not going to change the rear tires.
There is not a jack man or a tire changer inside here, Brock. They're taking on fuel from those big dump cans, but no tires on Jimmy Horton's car. Interesting bit of strategy.
Unfortunately, veteran Buzzy Rudiman has been taken to the hospital. We're not sure of his injuries. We'll keep you informed. In the meantime, Bob McCready continues to lead. He has not stopped. Now let's go to Steve and Jimmy Horton's pit.
Bucky, I know you had a good stop, but obviously you didn't change tires.
Now we feel we don't need to change the tires. They look good to us, and we're gas and go. We're gamble with the rain, see how we make out.
You know, some races this morning were concerned they might even have to make 2 stops for tires because of the rain and the abrasiveness of the racetrack.
We don't feel so. Gas and go.
What's Jimmy saying about the track, about conditions generally?
Should get faster if the rain stays away.
Well, I hope it works for you. Let's go to Brock with Doug Olson, the number 20 crew chief.
Sounds like things had a super pit stop. What's he saying, though, about the race car?
It said the race car feels real good. We've picked up a little bit of a push right now, but we've put some more air in the back tires. We should correct that for us.
He's The tires look just super coming off the car.
The tires are excellent. We really didn't even have to change them, but we wanted to go with more air pressure, so we're set now.
Are you know, considering where you started way back at 31st, are you happy with where you are right now?
We're real happy. He says he's got a ton of horsepower. If he just can control that push a little bit, we'll be in real good shape.
Stops over, you're not going to come in again?
I hope not.
All right, good deal. You're not going to, what I meant was you're not going to try to correct that push.
We tried to correct it with the 2 tires we just put on the back.
Just
a little bit more stagger.
Okay, so you're going to live with what you got now, huh?
10-4, Brett. Yes, we're going with it.
Good deal. Thanks.
Okay.
For sure. Good job.
So Doug Olson talking to his driver, Brett Hearn, and Brock Yates all at the same time. All right, just about everybody's got fresh tires right now, except for the one man who's gambling on that, Jimmy Horton. We got a restart.
And the other man in the lead right now, Bob McCready, don't forget, he hasn't stopped at all. So he let maybe a major opportunity slip through his grasp as we watch McCready hold on. Look at this. Hearn down low once more, moving up into 5th spot, Steve.
And Hearn didn't waste any time checking out that car after the pit stop. It is handling beautifully. Brett Hearn has got some race car underneath him now.
And right now, Steve, Dave Lape in 4th place is in Hearn's sights. Dave, of course, a veteran of this kind of racing, moved all the way up from 21st starting spot, so he is on a roll as well. But right now, he's got his hands full with that car, number 20, and young Brett Hearn.
Even though Hearn has just charged through this field, here is where he likes to pass and has done it consistently. Right there, just going into turn number 1. He does not get in a hurry on the back straight, doesn't take a chance in 2, 3, or 4. Turn 1, he executes.
Well, you notice, Steve, what he does is he charges that corner and relies on the handling of that automobile to get him through the corner. A lot of guys have to let off a little earlier than Brett does because they just don't have the cornering power to get through that corner. But Brett, the handling pays off so well, he just dives underneath everybody going down into turn 1. So right now into 4th place, Brett Hearn now challenging for the 3rd spot. That's Rick Jeffrey in the number 82 car. He held off Hearn that time, but it'll be interesting to see, Steve, if he can make it stick the next time around because Hearn is so aggressive going down into turn 1.
Okay, let's watch Brett Hearn gathering in Rick Jeffrey, coming out of turn number 3, headed into turn 4. Now he'll try to slingshot his way past him down the main straightaway and make that pass on the inside of turn 1. Here they come out of 4. Jeffrey in his sights. If he can get around Jeffrey, he'll have the 3rd spot. Remember, he started 31st. He can't do it. He'll have to wait another lap. Here is the race for the 6th spot. That is Carl Collis in the white car, number 12, blowing right by sprint car wizard Steve Kinzer.
Oh, don't forget, Carl Collis started in 34th spot, has moved through this field, keeping pace with Brett Hearn. So these 2 guys are the quickest men on the racetrack right now. As we watch Brett Hearn again try Jeffries coming off at turn 4. It'll be the challenge into turn 1 once more, Steve.
Boy, Hearn had the hammer down coming out of turn 4. Smoking that right rear tire. Here they are into turn number 1, and no. Hearn again cannot get around Jeffrey.
Well, he just can't do it now into turn 2. You just don't pass in turn 2 really effectively, so he's going to have to just trail Jeffrey down the back straight. There you see him fall back a little bit into turn 3 as they move up on one of the slower automobiles. That is car 28, Steve Kinzer, the sprint car wizard, the World of Outlaw champion so many times, out of it here today as he follows his cohort from the World of Outlaws, Sammy Swindell, into the pits.
But at least he still has a race car left. Swindell's car was a total. Look at this. Here is Jeffrey in the pit. Car number 82 coming in. You know what that does? It moves Brett Hearn up 1 more spot.
Well, Steve, we've got a caution because of Kinzer's blown engine, which gives Rick the opportunity to make his stop. He didn't come in when everybody else did during that rudiment crash.
And you would think that Bob McCready would be in here on this yellow flag as well, Brock. You know, there is a bonus of like $2,000 for leading the midway point of this race. Maybe that's what McCready is thinking about, that $2,000 bonus.
Well, it could be, Steve, but it may be the only amount of money he takes home here, because if he doesn't stop and get himself a yellow flag late in the race and has to come in at a green, it could be a disaster for him. And he's driven so well today, I sure hope it doesn't cost him the race. The clock continues to tick as Rick Jeffrey in the pits gets ready to go, but the field is coming off turn 4, and unless he gets underway real quick, Steve, he's going to go a lap down.
We have got a green flag out. Indeed, Rick Jeffrey is going to go a lap down. Just some bad timing. It took a little long to pitch. You see Jeffrey slow on the inside there. Everybody trying to get safely around him, and they do. Out in front, Bob McCready, but how long can he stay there without pitting?
Well, I'll tell you what, Steve, this is like drawing to an inside straight from McCready. He's got to gamble on a late race yellow flag to save it all, because, as you know, Hearn has stopped. He's got full fuel and fresh tires, and he is in a very commanding position right now, even though he's only in second place.
And he got that second place spot with, again, a very aggressive restart. Now, McCready's been out there trying to pick up that $2,000 to come in just a few laps. Well, Brett Hearn could win it just as well now, Brock.
More than that, he could win himself about $48,000 extra with the overall prize money here, because that is the real money that's at stake. As we watch McCready, though, still in command. The car is handling beautifully, and I notice that Hearn doesn't seem to be charging quite as hard right now. He may figure that McCready has to make that stop. Really, there's no sense in trying to run him down right now, that he'll just sit back there in second. He's got a good race for third between the Johnsons. That, of course, is Jack Johnson in the red number 12. And right in front of him, number 27, Danny Johnson from Clifton Springs, New York, who started well back in the field and through the attrition and pit stops has done a good job and moved up among the leaders.
Well, the main reason Danny Johnson has moved up so far, Brock, is he has not pitted yet, much like McCready, so he's bound to lose some spots when indeed that happens.
Well, so far, though, he's holding off Jack Johnson, who, as you know, has won this race twice before and one of the really strong men on the Syracuse Mile. So, whatever, Danny Johnson doing a good job as we watch Jack Johnson move underneath and try to get by him down in through turn one, the favorite passing spot here on the old mile. And look at this, Steve. That's the leader, Bob McCready, reaching for his wallet, because if he can get around the last two turns here, he will pick up the $2,000 with a halfway mark left.
And that'll be a relief to the crew, Brock, who's been waiting and waiting for that car to come in. Once he gets the $2 grand, Bob McCready has got to come into the pits. He'll hope to get a yellow flag. What if he doesn't?
Well, he's got to get a yellow flag. If he doesn't, he's going to fall a lap down, because these guys are getting around here in just about 32 seconds under race conditions, and you cannot put on fuel and change two tires with these race cars in that amount of time.
Here comes the leader into the pit. He got the yellow flag he was looking for. Number 9, Bob McCready, his crew, a sigh of relief as they'll go to work on that car. You can bet it'll get tires, it'll get fuel, and Brock, we are just past the halfway point in this race. McCready knows he has got enough fuel to go the distance. What about some of the guys that pitted earlier? Brett Hearn, Jack Johnson, I wonder.
Good question, Steve, as we watch Dave Lape. Remember, he was up among the leaders as well. He is also in the pit. So McCready and Lape gambled on a late caution flag, and it pays off for him. And as you say, some of the guys that stopped way, way early may be thinking, gee, maybe I should have held off a little bit too, because the old gas gauge could be falling toward E near the end of this race.
Well, I'll tell you what's going to be fun to watch when again we go to green. It's going to be that car, number 9. Bob McCready try to play catch-up, as we've seen Brett Hearn do all afternoon. Well, as McCready goes out to rejoin the field still in the yellow, let's rejoin Ed Bruce.
This is the vice president of Dirt, Andy Fusco. Andy, we've heard this referred to. Now, we didn't say it, you understand, but we've heard this referred to as the biggest kept secret in all of motorsports. How do you explain this?
Well, it's not really a secret here in the Northeast. It probably is, though, in the rest of the country, Ed, because modifieds are an animal that are pretty much germane to their stopping grounds here in the Northeast. And it's kind of a strange automobile in the rest of the country. But in the Northeast, modifieds are the top class in dirt track racing. There are over 1,700 of these cars in the Northeast running more than 40 tracks. And when we get going in June, July, and August, our drivers are running 5 or 6 nights a week. We run our special events on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And of course, they're going on the weekend shows in the bull rings every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night.
How many people do you draw here this weekend?
This week, there'll be over 88,000 people. That's the record that was set last year, and it's certain to be beaten this year.
Well, some great racing. Let's go back to it. Thank you, Andy.
And thank you, Ed, as we watch the pace car head for the pits and the field heads down the back straightaway. They're going to get ready for a green. Brett Hearn leads it, Jack Johnson in second. And Steve, what more can you say about Carl Collis? Had to run in the consolation race even to get into this field. Started way back in 34th spot.
Well, the guys who were first and second a year ago are now running second and third, that being Jack Johnson and Carl Collis. What a race we may have here with Brett Hearn out in front of Johnson. Two of the best and two of the most popular drivers with the fans.
And Steve, that is Carl Collis in the white 12 trying to squeeze underneath Rick Jeffrey. Remember, he was among the leaders, made a stop, and has now fallen back to 19th spot.
We have just got so many stories going on here simultaneously. Of course, Collis, who's come up to the pack. Brett Hearn miraculously leads it. Jack Johnson, capable of winning the races he did a year ago. Rick Jeffrey, can he move up? And how about back there somewhere is Bob McCready? In fact, he is in the 15th spot. He'll be making a charge.
He sure will, but right now the man in command here is Brett Hearn. Jack Johnson both have moved out a little bit on the rest of the field, so it's Hearn and Johnson fighting it out. Interesting to see whether Hearn is going to back down a little bit, Steve, because he may have a fuel problem. You know, he stopped early, so did Jack Johnson, so these guys may try to break out from the field a little bit and then back off on the pace somewhat, although you can't do a whole lot here with these Chargers behind him. Carl Collis, he too stopped early, so these three leaders are in a little bit of a bind here as far as fuel is concerned, against the contrast, of course, of Bob McCready, who's got a full tank.
Well, you're right. McCready, he is not on any economy run. You see him going by there right now, currently in 15th, trying to get around some lap traffic. Number 10, Lou Blaney, just in front of him.
Well, this, of course, is a costly situation for Bob McCready, because as he tries to weave his way through these slower cars, Johnson and Hearn out front have got a clear racetrack. So this may be one of the things that will cost McCready down near the end of the race. He's being balked a little bit by Blaney. Hard to get by in this very narrow racetrack, and McCready is obviously falling back.
Well, McCready at this stage of the game, Brock, is not going to be able to adopt that pass only in turn one axiom. He's going to have to take it anywhere he can get it.
Right, and these cars, as you know, all carry big block Chevys. We talked earlier about the very rigid specifications on the bodywork, etc. Look at this. McCready tries to make that pass on Blaney, can't make it work. The pressure builds on this man as the leaders begin to move away from him. It is Brett Hearn currently about 2 car lengths ahead of Jack Johnson. And remember, Johnson is going for his second consecutive victory here at Syracuse. Also remember, too, that Brett Hearn started way back in the pack. Jack Johnson way up front. And now let's go down to the pits with Steve, who's with Jojo DeSarbo, Johnson's crew chief.
Well, Jojo, can you make it 2 in a row?
We're going to try awful hard.
Awful good pit stop.
Very good, very good. I thought the guys did a good job on a pit stop.
You know, the tires that came off look almost brand new.
They were very good, exceptionally good wear on the tires this year.
Now, Brett Hearn, he's not going to go down lightly here.
I don't think so.
What does Jack say on the radio? Anything?
I want to try and get a hold of him right now.
Let's listen in.
Bob's halfway in the middle of the pack, and you better get a hold of Hearn right away quick here, because he's coming fast.
Any answer?
Yeah, he is.
What did he answer?
He said he's running.
That he is. Jack Johnson may make it 2 in a row.
All right, look at this. Johnson tries Hearn on the outside of turn number 1. That is confidence in your chassis, believe me. Couldn't make it stick, but he sure gave Hearn a little bit of a scare as they go down the back straightaway with Hearn still holding on to the lead. But it showed Steve Evans that Johnson definitely has the handling in that race car to challenge Hearn anytime he wants to.
And as they battle wheel to wheel, Brock, I doubt they have any time to even think about that potential fuel problem we discussed earlier. These guys pitted early. Do they have enough gas in the tank to go the distance? And you know, Jojo wasn't kidding. Bob McCready is in the middle of the pack. The last time there you see him, the yellow and white car. The last time we saw him, he was 15th. He's moved up to 11th.
But Steve, he's got his hands full with a lot of slower traffic. As we saw earlier, Hearn and Johnson, nice clear racetrack. And poor old Bob, he's stuck back there with some fast cars and some slow ones as well. But in a tight, narrow racetrack like this, you can't just kind of get on the outside and wail around everybody. You have to find just a few spots to get past, and each one of those can be a very difficult pass. Remember, he fought hard to get by Lou Blaney. Now Glenn Fitzcharles, who has fallen back and not running too well, is in front of him. And, of course, he, too, is a formidable obstacle for Barefoot Bob.
And up front, 2 guys who race these modified cars for a living. Brett Hearn in the number 20 car, the yellow and white machine. A very articulate, good-looking driver. Has his sights set someday on NASCAR stock car racing. Behind him, Jack Johnson. Modified racing is his life. And a win here can really salvage a season. You can make as much money net here, Brock, as you might in a whole year of racing these cars.
As well we know with Jack Johnson, who's packed home an awful lot of money with 2 victories here at Syracuse already in his illustrious career from Duanesburg, New York, a small town here in upstate. This is a test of raw speed and handling for these two men. No other race cars in their way, essentially a clear track, a lot of attrition here. So they've got a wide open racetrack to test each other out. It looks as if Hearn has a little bit of an advantage on the straightaways, and then Johnson tends to tuck in underneath them as they go through these very tight corners here at Syracuse. Steve is back with JoJo.
Well, JoJo, I think it's almost as hard on you guys watching as it is on Jack trying to get it done.
Sure is.
It looks to be a real driver's battle right now.
That's what it is right now. Jack, you gotta get it done now.
JoJo talking to Jack Johnson.
You gotta get it done now. McCready's on his way.
What's he asking you, JoJo?
He didn't ask me anything. I just told him that he had to get going here.
$50,000 at stake. I'll say he's got to get going.
And Brock, as you can hear, they're as concerned about McCready as they are about Brett Hearn.
Well, they sure are, because McCready is slowly creeping up on him. As soon as he gets clear of that lap traffic back there, he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. But right now, it's Hearn holding off Jack Johnson pretty effectively.
And about an eighth of a mile back, Brock, is this scrap for the third spot. Carl Collis in number 12 trying to hold off number 61. C.D. Coville, that is the race for third position. Up front, same story. Brett Hearn, Jack Johnson just beating on each other again as he has lap after lap. Johnson goes high, tries to look around Hearn and might get him this time. No. Going into two, it's not going to happen there. He tucks back in. Brock, I can't answer that question you posed earlier. Is Brett Hearn running only as hard as he has to or flat out? You're right. Only he knows the answer to that one.
I also wonder if Jack really thinks that he can get by him on the outside, or if he's just trying to put a little extra pressure on him.
Again, the race for third spot. It is still Carl Collis at number 12 holding off C.D. Coville. And here come the leaders again into turn number 1. This time Brett Hearn has a little more of a cushion than he did before. So Hearn starting to step on it a little bit harder and brake a little later, and there's the race for third. Those guys are closing up behind first and second. Collis still hanging in there in number 12. If Carl Collis could ever qualify up front, he'd be apt to win one of these Syracuse mile races. He was way back in the field last year and finished second, started 34th here today, and has moved up to third. Right now, Brock Yates is down in Carl Collis's pit. Brock?
How about Mike Lusso is the crew chief on Carl Collis's car, and once again a terrific run for the back, Mike, but he's sitting in third. You made your stop. How do things look from here on in?
Well, we have a minor oil leak in the motor right now. It's affecting the interior of the compartment. I think we'll be able to hold out as long as it's not a discomfort to him. He might be a little burnt, I think. I don't think it's too serious. But I think we're in a hunt. We're cool until the end.
Caution laps are probably helping him, huh?
Yeah, I think so. It's helping us too.
How about what's he saying to you on the radio? Anything about the race car or the racetrack?
He says he feels comfortable in it. He says he's got a long way to go. That's about it right there.
No stops.
No stops.
No, you're going to go the distance, presuming that you got that oil doesn't get bad.
Right.
And
that's our only concern right now.
Well, I sure hope it stays together for you, Mike. Well, we'd like to see him do the same thing he did last year. It was just beautiful. Yes, sir. Thanks. Good job. Yes, sir.
Well, Brock, that's just what a driver needs when he's fighting the Moody Mile. A hot oil shower inside the car. Mike Lusso getting up on the truck to cheer home Carl Collis, but up front, same deal. Brett Hearn, Jack Johnson, nothing's changed here. Neither man giving any quarter nor asking any.
Right, Steve. Johnson continues to take that high line through turn 1, but it's Hearn down the back straightaway. Turn 3 starts to get bumpy, as usual here at Syracuse. Well, I'll tell you what, though, Steve, Carl Collis has got to get a break here at this particular point. He's down about almost a half a lap to the two leaders, Hearn and Johnson. And unless we start to get some yellow flags here, he is not going to have much of a chance to pull those guys in. And moreover, don't forget, he's got a charging Bob McCready right behind him. So Collis, with that oil leak, has got to be hoping maybe to back this pace down a little bit and move up on the leaders through a caution.
And Brock, the cars look to me to be a little more twitchy than they were in the early going. That's probably due to the fact the track is getting slick, it's getting rough, and tires are starting to go away.
Right, Steve. Well, you heard Ed Bruce describe this place as the Moody Mile, as they call it, and that is simply because the track conditions will change throughout the course of the race. It's kind of cool, and it's kind of damp here, and who's to know what this track surface is doing as far as handling is concerned.
Well, let's check in on the charge of Bob McCready. He's in sixth spot, just glued to the nerve bar of 113. That is Tom Wilson, who's done a nice job of driving today. Very conservative, has stayed out of trouble, but right now he has got a tiger on his tail by the name of Purefoot Bob McCready. McCready trying anything he can do to get around him. Here's the ideal place to pass, but not on this lap. McCready is still stranded in sixth spot.
Well, he has been in the middle of it as far as traffic is concerned almost from the time he made that pit stop late in the race. And so Bob McCready really has had an awful hard job of it. He just hadn't had any clear track at all. While in the meantime, Hearn and Johnson have really been able to get free of everybody. Here's our two guys out front. Notice they've got almost a full straightaway lead right now on Carl Collis. So both Brett Hearn and Jack Johnson have really got it all their own way, being unchallenged, and at this particular point not having any major problem with the man who is right now the quickest on the racetrack, and that is Bob McCready. There goes Hearn around the outside of a slower automobile, and Johnson trying to get past him. He'll probably wait until the front straightaway to move by. There they go down the fast outside line heading into turn number one, and that little move there gave Hearn about a 4-car length advantage over Jack Johnson.
And I have a feeling, Brock, that number 9, Bob McCready, would gladly right now give back the $2,000 bonus he earned for leading at the midway point to just rethink all of that strategy. Had he pitted at the same time that Hearn and Johnson did well, it might be a whole different story.
Well, right now his hands are full with Wilson, who's running very well up there in that fifth spot. Now remember, Wilson is on the same lap as McCready, so he's not about to give way and let him by. As there comes Johnson once more, he's reeled in. Hearn once again gets right up on his tail as they come off at turn 2. They've done that lap after lap, but notice that Hearn just tends to pull out a little bit down the back straightaway. So it's Hearn's speed on the straight right now, and Johnson's ability to get through turn 1 and turn 2 that keeps this race close.
Well, Johnson would like, I think, Brock, to take that same line as Brett Hearn. His car just will not handle down low.
Well, Steve, notice now that Hearn seems to be moving out a little bit away from the inside rail. It may be that the groove has moved out there, and it also may be that he's trying to protect that inside or that outside line from Jack Johnson, who's been trying to pass him out there.
Well, Brock, Brett Hearn may have an opportunity here to put some distance between Johnson if he can use the lap traffic to his advantage. Let's see. He gets one car between them. Johnson's going to try to go high out of the marbles, get very sideways. Let's see if Johnson can lap that car as well. No, Brett Hearn did that beautifully. Johnson's car is just not handling as well.
Absolutely, Steve. He just doesn't seem to be able to get out of that groove as well as Hearn does. Hearn can move all over the racetrack. As you saw there, he went way wide in turn 3 to get past that lap car. Jack tried it and fell back. So that appears to be a handicap as far as Jack's number 12A is concerned.
Okay, here is Bob McCready. He is challenging Tom Wilson, or still challenging Tom Wilson, number 113 for 5th. And they are both closing in on number 61, C.D. Coville.
And look at this. McCready on the outside of Wilson and underneath Coville. A double play in turn 3 and 4 for Bob McCready. And look at this. That's car number 6.
Fritz Eppright up against the wall in turn number 1, shredding that left rear tire. But you know, Brock, that is going to give Bob McCready the yellow flag he needs so desperately to make up that vast distance between Brett Hearn and Jack Johnson.
Righto, this is going to get interesting, and this is what caused it. Eppright loses that left rear at probably about 150 miles an hour and really does a pretty good job under the circumstances to prevent a more serious accident. So Fritz slides to a stop. That'll bring out the tow car to clear the wreckage away. No injuries here, fortunately. But the most important result of this particular incident is the fact that barefoot Bob McCready will start out on the rear bumper of Jack Johnson.
And this means that any one of 4 or maybe even 5 cars could still win the Schaefer 200. Brett Hearn leads it right now, Jack Johnson in second, but anything could happen when we come back to the richest dirt track race in the world. The pace car is off the track. We have got 4 cars in a royal battle for the Schaefer 200. Brett Hearn, the yellow and white car number 20, on the point. Behind him in the orange car number 12 is Jack Johnson. Then Carl Callis, and now up into the 4th spot. He closed up to the leaders due to that yellow flag. Bob McCready. What a race this is going to be. The closing laps.
And here comes Brett Hearn leading him down into turn number 1. As so often has been the case, he tucks in low. Jack Johnson right behind him. Look at that. Smoke coming off of the right rear tire of Johnson as he struggles for traction on this very hard Syracuse mile, Steve.
Well, that tells you a couple of things. One, Jack Johnson is running as hard as he can. Number 2, the racetrack is indeed getting worse and worse.
But also you're seeing Johnson working an awful lot harder. Notice Brett's car is staying pretty well pointed all the way around the racetrack. Jack is sliding, oversteering a lot. The rear end is loose, and he is working hard. Here comes McCready challenging Collis for 3rd place.
Indeed he is, Brock, and if he can get around Collis, he is really going to have to stand up. You see a little smoke coming off of his tires now, so he has got some of the same problems as Jack Johnson. Well, Bob McCready was able to make that marvelous march from 15th to 4th, but now he's got one tough customer. The 2nd place runner here a year ago, Carl Collis, is between he and Jack Johnson. He needs to get that 3rd spot right away.
Well, it's been an eventful afternoon for Bob McCready. Remember, he started on the outside of the front row. That is his crew cheering him on. Started on the outside next to Sammy Swindell, took the lead, and now challenges once more for 3rd place. Had the lead for most of the middle stages of the race, then made a late stop, fell back to 15th, as you said, Steve Evans, and now has scratched his way back to 4th.
A pair of perfectly matched automobiles and drivers up front. Brad Hearn and Jack Johnson, less than 5 laps to go. And still in my mind, Brock, I wonder about fuel consumption. The yellow flag, though, may have been a break for them as far as gas mileage is concerned. Here is Brad Hearn's crew. They are trying to pray him on to victory.
And you can be sure the same thing is going on with Bob McCready and Carl Collis's crews as well, because these guys are locked in a struggle for 3rd place. As McCready right on Collis's rear Nerf bar as they head into turn number 3. It'll be a wonder if Collis can hold him off. McCready is charging so hard, and of course we know Collis has got some mechanical problems.
And at this stage of this race, with the prize money at stake, you know McCready is not above giving him a little shot and knocking him out of the groove if he has to.
Well, it's a courageous drive by Carl Collis no matter what, with that hot oil leaking on him. McCready fighting his way back from a big handicap early in the race. So here comes Brett Hearn down the front straightaway, and Johnson right on his rear wheel.
Johnson's timing is perfect. He didn't dare stay wide another second or he'd have been pushed out of the marbles. He has to get back in there in that groove. Brad Hearn, Jack Johnson, a war between these two. Brad Hearn has never won this race. Johnson trying to make his 3 career victories.
Well, Steve, you can see the differences in handling. Hearn's car is so much more stable than Jack, who's just battling that kind of cranky race car around here, wants to oversteer, and he is working like a fiend out there to stay up with a much smoother handling race car in the hands of Brett Hearn.
And Jack Johnson keeps experimenting a little higher on the racetrack, but it will not cooperate. The Moody Mile is not going to work for Jack Johnson here, not up high anyway, and he can't seem to get down low either. Now, and we've got a shredded tire. That is C.D. Colville, car number 61. He was running 8. Now that, yes, it is going to bring out yet another caution flag. Now, is that an advantage for a guy like Bob McCready, Brock, so he can close up the gap, or maybe an advantage for a Brett Hearn who can save fuel? Could work both ways.
It sure could, but nonetheless, McCready has now gotten past Carl Collis and is sitting in 3rd spot. So here comes the leader, Brett Hearn, backing it down. He'll tuck in behind the pace car and breathe a big sigh of relief, Steve Evans, because this means he can conserve some of that fuel that is obviously running very low.
Yes, Brock, but that might be a mixed blessing, because Bob McCready, who no question has the fastest car on the racetrack, has now moved right up behind Jack Johnson. He's in that 3rd spot, and he could strike from there if there's enough time to go in the race. And what a shame for C.D. Colville in the pits with that exploded tire, but he can hold his head high. What a great job he's done. I'll tell you what that crew has not done, Brock. They're going to try to rip that Nerf bar out and get on out there.
They sure are, Steve. They started back in 12th spot, worked their way all the way up to 4th during the middle stages of the race. CD's done a super job, and he's not going to let it go totally for naught right now. He'll get back into it. Won't finish among the leaders, though, unfortunately.
Well, the green flag is coming out, so put your money down. Is it going to be number 20, Brad Hearn, all the way from the 31st spot, or Jack Johnson, who started up front and continues to run to the 2nd spot? Can Bob McCready get around both of them? We're going to find out right now.
It boils down to this. three cars in a duel as they come off turn number 2 and down the back straightaway. It's Hearn, Johnson, and McCready. Hearn seems to be able to hold on, Steve.
They all seem evenly matched as far as power is concerned. It's right here. In these tight turns, we'll see the difference, if any. Johnson's car, the rear end just wants to kick out a little more than he'd like. Now, all of a sudden, McCready's car is doing the same thing. Not handling as well as it was. Here we go on to the last lap. Headed down into turn number 1 is Brad Hearn. Does he have enough fuel to go 3/4 of a mile? We're going to find out. The crew just praying, just hoping that that car is going to make it work.
They know he's running on fumes. He told him on the radio that he's concerned. McCready, of course, driving hard. He's got plenty of fuel as they head down into turn number 3. It is still Hearn. Right behind him, Johnson and McCready making one final bid as they come out of the final straightaway.
Jack Johnson goes low. One final shot. It is not enough. Brad Hearn, number 20. The youngster from New Jersey has won the Schaefer 200. And in this part of the country, Brock Yates, that makes you an instant legend.
Right, Steve, and it's just about like winning the lottery as well, as he'll take home over $50,000.
Brad Hearn has won the Schaefer 200, followed by Jack Johnson, as he was for so many laps. Bob McCready, a valiant comeback, just couldn't quite pull it off. Let's go to Brock with the winner.
Incredible mob scene down there. Everybody's gone. Brad, did you run out? Did you just run out of gas?
We just ran out of gas coming down off of turn 4.
You were worried about fuel. The crew said for quite a while.
With 10 laps to go, I couldn't tell if it was we were running out of fuel or if we had carburetor trouble, but it started sputtering with 10 to go.
Fantastic effort. Beautiful.
I can't believe it.
All right, what a show by Brad Hearn. A victory here. Okay, let's go to Steve with a second-place finisher.
Jack Johnson, a very tired Jack Johnson with the helmet off. I'll tell you what, there were moments there that I and your crew thought you were going to do it.
And we tried every trick in the book. He was in the fast lane. I just couldn't go by him. He run a heck of a race.
A case of two very evenly matched automobiles and drivers.
Yeah, I would say so. I'll tell you, the race was real fast today. And after all the bad weather early, I was really surprised the track was as fast as it was.
Well, just to stay out of trouble today was a major accomplishment.
Yeah, it sure was. There was a lot of scary moments out there today. And thank God everybody come out of it all right.
All right, thank you, Jack. You know, I said earlier, Brad Hearn was popular. Look at this, up on top of his race car at the finish line. What a celebration. Okay, let's go to Brock with the third-place runner, Bob McCready.
A magnificent comeback, a try. I know you're disappointed. If you had it to do over again, would you have stopped earlier, or what was the strategy in that holding on and stopping late?
Well, you just gamble with racing, and we gambled, and it didn't work, so we gave it our best shot. My crew did an excellent job, and the car worked fantastic, and I made the mistake. That's when
you drove beautifully. You're terrific. You got to be pleased with the performance. You were another 20 laps, and it might have been yours.
Well, the decision to pit's up to me, and they left it up to me, and that's the only mistake made all day. So that's the way it is.
Sometimes it works. Well, our congratulations anyway. A super piece of work.
Well, thank you very much.
You just never get excuses from a true champion like Bob McCready. A final note on the condition of Buzzy Rudiman. We are told that he has suffered some serious neck injuries, but that the prognosis for a complete recovery is good. We wish Buzzy Rudiman, a veteran of 28 years in this kind of racing, one of the most popular drivers ever in the Northeast, a speedy recovery.